story of Robin last week?
Yes.
Yeah. He's a good friend. He stepped in very quickly. But I'm not the type of person who likes to step down from. Speaking on a Sunday, I was told by the doctors I wasn't going to be out and I wasn't allowed to come. And then nobody would bring me to church last Sunday. And they were all telling me, stay away. You sound like you're making a naughty phone call, heavy breathing. And so Robin quite nicely stepped in. And he's a great man of God. And actually, we got a prophecy when I was put into hospital. We got a prophecy sent to us by another church, and it just confirmed everything what God's going to do here. You think, like, we started this church initially in my front room, and it was Kelly, myself, and my kids. And then my mum joined, and then my brother, and so on and so on. And then we started a nighttime group. Then we started a service in my gym around the corner. And then God said, I'm giving you somewhere. And I'll tell you all honestly, he told me he was giving us somewhere beforehand. He showed me the building, and I went, oh no, I'm too frightened to step out for you right now. But you know, God's great, is he doesn't just give you one opportunity. He'll give you opportunity after opportunity until you eventually wise up and your soul, your mind, your will, and your emotions line up to what the Spirit says. And when we moved around here, I was given this prophecy that Victory Church specifically will be responsible, and it has a calling on it to bring unity to the body of Christ. It will bring unity in the truth of the Word, but also unity in how the Word is expressed through love. And it will be a beacon. I'm paraphrasing what has been said through this prophecy. It'll be a beacon to the community, and you will see an explosion happening here. But who knows what happens whenever the devil senses anything on the radar? He always sends attack. And he always does it. And you see that attack coming, and to be honest, that's the time to get joyful and cheerful. To share briefly with you before we really kick into the scripture, I was admitted to hospital, and I was lying in hospital, and I was on the magnesium drip, heart monitor, oxygen and stuff, and my nebulizer had been taken off. My wife had to leave to go and get the kids, and there was a change of shift in the hospital. And if you ever noticed that, there's a change of shift, people forget about you. And it was at that point when I was lying there, and I thought, oh, I can feel. I started timing it. My breathing went up to like 60 breaths a minute. I couldn't speak to get attention. My hands turned blue, my feet turned blue because there's no oxygen getting in. And at that point I thought, this is it. This is me leaving this earth. And you know, the way an asthma attack and stuff happens is that it constricts your breathing, like you're being drowned to the point then that you panic. And when you panic, it exacerbates things even more. Now, I was doing this as much as I could, trying to wave to the nurses to get their attention. And 15 minutes passed and I was turning blue before they noticed me. But in that time, I realized I didn't panic. Because there's something that I've learned over the years. I've been healed of a broken back, I've been healed of different things. Kneecap was in half, and I'm miraculously in half. This is miraculously whole, but this is something that has stayed with me. But the flesh often gets attacked to bring in an emotion. So whenever this gets attacked, my chest gets attacked, it's to bring in an emotion that maybe I haven't experienced the full healing of God yet, or maybe I've got this emotion, maybe I'm not walking the right path. And when these emotions hit you, then it causes a reaction. And this is what the whole series of Sticks and Stones is. Not to react emotionally, because we are called to be lords over our emotion. I learned to think when I was breathing, and I do this all the time, Kelly knows about this. God gave it to me one night. And like most of you know, I fought professionally. I'm fit, it's not a fitness thing. I've been asthmatic since birth. I've been admitted to the ICU. I've been intubated and different things, and there was one stage when I was 5 that I died and stuff. But all of this has just cemented in me that what the devil will always do is he will use your circumstance, whether it's finance, whether it's health, whether it's relationship. He will use your circumstance to try and attack your emotional health. Because I explained this a couple of weeks ago at the start of this series. Your three parts being your spirit, soul, and body. You are a spirit. You have a soul. Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. How you're thinking. And you live in a body. But that key area of soul, that mind, that will, and the emotions, is the bit that we're instructed to renew. In fact, Romans 4 tells us to renew the spirit of our mind. In other words, renew really deeply. Go so deep that you're renewed, and whenever the same circumstance presents itself, you don't react the same way. Whenever I used to react to an asthma attack, I would get a panic attack on top of it. And I'd start to freak out, thinking, oh no. But now, whenever I have an asthma attack, I have this thing where I visualize Jesus in front of me. And when I'm breathing in, I'm breathing him in. And okay, I might not be getting a lot of the time, but eventually it's going to build up. And you know that's worked for me better than any medication. Better than anything I've ever used. And that just speaks volumes. And I want to look at this. I want to look at a guy in the Bible who I don't know how many times I've read the Bible, but to be perfectly honest, I stuck on. I love the book of 1 Samuel. I love the story of Saul. And I'm going to sit down for just a second. Maybe I'm not back in hospital, guys. I'm going to look at 1 Samuel. I'll start with chapter 13. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. In 1 Samuel 13, this guy Saul. Can I ask Simon to come and address me for a second? Yeah, thank you. There's this guy Saul, and Saul is promoted to be first king of Israel. So he's the king who preludes David. And Saul is seen as a fantastic, you know what, he was a looker. He's a bit like myself, very good looking man. Listen, there's power in my words. If I speak it, it's true. He was a good looking man. He was seen as a head and shoulders man, nice and tall. And the people wanted him. Now, it broke God's heart that the people wanted a king. Because God wanted to be their ruler. But the people turned around and says, no, we want someone. And we often do that. We look at people and we think, I want to be like him, or I want to be like her. And this guy Saul was picked basically on how his stature was upon men. And he was anointed. And Samuel was really pleased with the anointed, thinking Saul's going to be amazing. Saul's going to be a fantastic king and his kingdom will last forever. But then when Saul comes up against the Philistines, he's waiting after this battle. And he's waiting for Samuel to appear. Because Samuel says, wait for me to appear and we'll make an offering to God. He says, I'll appear in 7 days. I'll meet you in 7 days. I'm paraphrasing so I don't have to read the whole thing. He waits, but Samuel's slightly late. Samuel doesn't turn up when he says he's going to turn up. So Saul makes what's called an unlawful sacrifice. He decides, well, do you know what? Samuel's not here yet. I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to sacrifice to God. You know, the way you look at it, that sounds okay. That sounds like he's doing the right thing. But Samuel turns around and says, because of this, your kingdom will be struck off and another will be raised. That person is David. And the reason he says this is because Saul is not acting out of a position of faith. He is acting out of emotion. See, if you read all about Saul, Saul has this need for people to like him. Does anybody else have? Now, let's be honest. We all want people to like us, yeah? We all like to be liked. Nobody likes to be hated. Unless you're some sort of sadomasochist, but then that's up to you. Nobody likes to be hated. But Saul had this real fixation that, oh, I need everybody to love me. And whenever David comes on the scene later on, and they start singing this song, Saul has destroyed and vanquished thousands, and David tens of thousands. Oh, it wound him up something shocking. He was furious. David, who ends up loving Saul and trying to serve Saul. Saul loses the battle with him and chases him and tries to kill him. But you see this, and what I want to look at is in chapter 14. Have we got that? I don't know if I've given it. Okay. I'm going to read, yeah. Now it happened one day that Jonathan said, Jonathan the son of Saul, so Jonathan's also David's best friend, but he's the son of Saul, said to the young man who bore his armour, "Come, let us go to the Philistines' garrison that is on the other side." But he didn't tell his father. And Saul was sitting on the outskirts of Gibeah under a pomegranate tree, which is in Migron. The people who were with him were about 600. And you bear in mind that they're facing an absolute, it says that the number of the Philistines was like the sand of the beach. There were so many. Between the passes, after Ishai, the son of Achab, Ichabod's father, the son of Phinehas, the son of Eli, the Lord's priest in Shiloh, was wearing an ephod, but the people did not know that Jonathan had gone. Between the passes by which Jonathan sought to go over the Philistines' garrison, there was a sharp rock on one side and a sharp rock on the other side, and the name of one was Bozez and the other was Sinai. The front of one faced northward opposite Mishmash and the other southward opposite Gibeah. Then Jonathan said to the young man who bore his armour, "Come, let us go to the garrison of these uncircumcised. It may be that the Lord will work for us, for nothing restrains the Lord from saving by many or by few." You see, there's a real dichotomy between Jonathan and Saul, between the dad and the son. Saul loved the idea of people loving him. Jonathan acted out of faith. You see, I'll tell you what happens here, and there's a reason I'm telling you this story. Jonathan goes up and picks a fight. In fact, it says he has to crawl up on his hands and knees to pick a fight with these Philistines. And it's just him and his armour bearer. This poor young fella who's just gone, "I'll go with you, Jonathan, wherever you go." Sometimes God will supply you with someone like that. A cheerleader who will support you. And you don't need loads of them. You only really need one in life who will go to you, "You can do it. You can do this. You can do that." For me, it's my wife, who always encourages me. Even when I'm going, "Oh, I don't know if I'm able," she'll go, "Yes, you can. You're more than able." And you need that one encourager to lift you up and bring you up. And he did. He had his armour bearer. He climbs up. Jonathan picks a fight, wipes out about 20 of them. Then there's confusion goes through the Philistines' camp, and they start killing each other, thinking that they're in a big fight. This whole story gets back to Saul, and then Saul blows the horn, and everybody goes, "Oh my goodness, look at what Saul has done." Do you see that? Jonathan's the one that goes up and goes, "I'm going to go for the Lord, because it doesn't matter where I go. I'm not going to be restricted by fear of people or anything else. I'm not restricted by emotion. I'm going with faith." And Jonathan does it, but Saul, who is restricted by his emotion, restricted, sitting under a tree, going, "I don't know what to do, there's loads of these guys." He doesn't go up. But then when he blows the trumpet, everybody's like, "Oh, Saul's so good. He's so amazing. Oh my goodness. And I just want to be like that guy Saul." And this is what happens. And I don't know about you, but I want to speak about emotional content today. My background, 35 years trained in the martial arts. When I was 4 years old, I fell in love with that fella. Right? I saw Enter the Dragon and thought, "Whoa, I want to do that. I want to be like that." And, you know, there's a scene in Enter the Dragon at the start, and he's teaching his young protege, and he slaps him on the head a couple of times. And he's talking about his attack. He says, your attack, your kick, your side kick, it needs emotional content. You see, your emotions are so powerful. Everything in your life comes from an emotional base. But everything that restricts your walk is also from an emotional base. I said this 2 weeks ago, that from the fall of creation, emotions in your life have become a plaything of the enemy. The enemy will use your emotions to restrict what you do. He will use fear to keep you paralyzed. He will use anxiety to keep you moving forward. And quite often, those emotions are they're not tangible. You see, how you feel, your emotions and your feelings, how you feel, are directly a result of how you think. So your thinking gives you your emotions. If you're thinking negatively, you will have negative emotions. If you're thinking, oh, the state of the world. Like my dad, who, please pray for, is still in hospital. We went in at the same time, because we were just that close. We like to do everything together. He would watch 24-hour news, like just on a cycle. And then when you would walk in to talk to him, it would be like, oh, you never guess what's happened. There's been a flood. There's been a terrorist attack. There's been this. There's been that. And I was like, seriously? That's what you're filling up with? I read something maybe about 15, 20 years ago about a certain preacher's mum. And she had cancer. And one of the things that she found got her through was, it says in Proverbs that laughter is the best medicine, that the heart makes merry from laughter. And she filled up every night by watching a comedy before she went to bed. I do the same thing. What annoys my wife is it's the same thing I watch. I watch like Only Fools and Horses, and I've got one sort of sense of humour and that's it. It has to be stupid and that's me. I'm not really sophisticated. Or I will watch, she'll go, can we watch something new? No. The same thing every time, just in the night, just because before I go to bed, I want to be of good spirit. I want to be laughing. I want to be filling up. You see, how you're emotionally contained, what you've filled up with in life, will direct the direction that you're going. And if you know that God has a destiny set before you, and He has a destiny before you, a goal, and Psalm 37 verse 4 tells you that He puts through that destiny, that dream, in your heart, and it is set before you. You have to walk that walk. And what the devil will do is he will try and get you to go to the left or the right through emotions. He will say, you're not good enough to do that. Or you're not smart enough. Or what, you want to open a business? What do you know about business? Or you want your relationship right? Oh my goodness, but you've done something wrong over here. And he uses this stuff to try and get you to turn to the left or to the right. And not let you walk your path. And this is the key for a Christian. Who remembers when they got saved? Yeah? When you got saved, were you on a high? And what happens in Christian life is that you get saved, you get on this high, and it's like, oh my goodness, I feel great. To share this with you, I got saved on my wedding day, or my wedding night, and I was told that shouldn't be what I would do. That wasn't what I should have been doing on my wedding night, but anyway, I got saved on my wedding night, and it was miraculous. It felt like I was on a high anyway, but I was just full of joy, wanting to go about. We were in Solution. I just wanted to go about and tell everybody about Jesus. My wife was like mental in the corner, drinking 2 bottles of wine on her own, going, I've married a looper. But the thing is that it sat with me, and it was that joy. But then somewhere along your walk, the joy tends to wane. It tends to go at times. Circumstance hits you. Affliction hits you. Hardship hits you. Whatever it is, the attack of the enemy comes in, because if he can get you to focus on a certain circumstance, then whatever you focus on, you're filling up with. Do you get that? Whatever I focus on, I'm filling up with. If I sit and watch a comedy at night, I'm filling up with something that makes me merry. If I watch 24-hour news, I'm filling up with despair. And whatever I focus on, I fill up with. And whatever I fill up with, that's my emotional content. And it can either be a source of hindrance to my walk, or a source of fuel to my walk. And that's what we got to get hold of. If we can get hold of this, there's a scripture, I think it's John chapter 14. Did I get that? John 14 verse 1. Think this is Jesus, right? And Jesus says before, I can't hear myself, by the way. Do I sound okay? Yeah. Not too like, but can we edit that out, by the way? Do not let your hearts be troubled, distressed or agitated. You believe in and adhere to and trust in and rely on God. Believe in and adhere to, trust in, and rely also on me. Is this bit here? do not let your heart be troubled. Because Jesus previously is talking about he's going to his death. He's going. He is going to be leaving them. They will be on their own. The guy who was sent to save humanity, to bring us from the pit of despair, to lift us from the miry clay and set our feet upon the solid rock, he is leaving. And you can see, if I was one of those disciples, I'd be crying my eyes out, little snot bubbles and everything, going, please don't leave me. But he says this, do not let your hearts be troubled. Now let me ask you this. Is Jesus just? Did Jesus ever lie? Well, if Jesus is trust and he never lied, then for him to say, do not let your hearts be troubled, means that we have the power to not let our hearts be troubled. Because if he asked it of us, and we were incapable of it, then he would be unjust. Make sense? If he asked us to not let our hearts be troubled, and we were incapable of not letting our hearts be troubled, then he would be an unjust God for asking that. But instead, he asks it because he has given us the ability and the power to be well able to be untroubled. In fact, I spoke about this before. The word fear, or do not be afraid, in the Bible is mentioned 365 times. One for each day. So God wants you to get up each day and go, no fear here. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7 says, I'm not given a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. We have the power to take those emotions and take hold of them. And sometimes the problem with this life right now is that most people don't think that is the case. They think how I feel is because of what has happened to me. And because of what has happened to me, this is how I feel. And it is completely unfair. Because I feel like this will dictate how I'm going to feel from now on. And God is saying, no, 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 no. I give you power over your emotions. And if you get the power over your emotions, you will continue to walk as I intended you to walk. I talked about this 2 weeks ago. Charismatic. I would consider myself still a charismatic Christian. In the sense, not that I speak in tongues and all that, but not that I'm charismatic as it was pictured maybe about 20 years ago. But I'm charismatic because the word charis is grace. And I'm carrying grace. So when they looked at Saul and they said, that's a charismatic man, oh my goodness, I want to be like him. You know, I want to dress like him, look like him, act like him, walk like him. Ooby-doo. Whenever they look at Saul and said this, they're looking at the charisma in him. But the problem, he was anointed with that charisma. He was anointed with the grace. He was anointed with the Holy Spirit. But the issue is that his emotional turmoil, his emotional insecurities and frustrations caused that charisma to wane, to be hidden. You know what it says in Matthew about hiding your light under a bushel? That's what it's talking about. Hiding the light. See, a Christian should be able to stand up and say, what, you're talking about me on the internet? Good luck. What, you're slandering about me over here, or you stole money from me over here, what, you stole my car? That's okay, God will bless me with a new one. That's what a Christian perspective is. That we don't let circumstance take hold of our emotions, and our thought life take hold of our emotions to the point that it stops us walking where we're supposed to walk. I'm not aware of my time, because I haven't, so if somebody just gives me something as a timetable. What? Oh, you should stay longer. I want to explain a couple of little things. There's emotions that will grab you. For instance, anger. Anybody ever been angry? Before I was saved, I used to have a real problem, thank you, sir, with anger. I was trained, I was a champion fighter, and I also, if anything went wrong, I would always get filled up with this aggression, and I would usually take it out in the walls and punch through walls and punch through doors. And I had this real anger issue. When I got saved, God dealt with that in such a big way. Such a big way. But anger itself is an expression. The real emotion behind anger is fear. And that's one of the things that he dealt with me on. Because I only ever get angry if I'm afraid of something. if I'm afraid of loss, if I'm afraid of breakup, if I'm afraid of sickness, that's what, whatever it is, anger is the expression of that fear. And I think it's in Ecclesiastes, I don't have it written down, Ecclesiastes 7. I think it is. It says, a fool lets anger rest in his heart. In other words, it's not a case of anger being a problem or an emotion being a problem presenting itself. It's the letting it rest in your heart. If you let it rest in your heart, that's when you start to dwell on it. So if you have your thought life producing your emotions, then your emotions produce your actions produce your character produce your habits produce your life. So where you are right now, the things that are happening in life that you have is a direct result of your thought life, and it is a direct result of your emotions. So the thing is most of us feel like, oh, I'm just emotional. And has anybody ever heard anybody respond to someone else says, oh, they're just emotional? Little tip, do not say that about your wife. Do not just call them emotional whenever they're not making sense. But honestly, if you can take hold of this, you can take hold of your emotions. Let me explain something from my personal testimony. We have 5 beautiful children, and we lost 2 children. Whenever I wasn't at this point, the first time we lost a child, I wasn't walking with God. And I remember Kelly was like 3 months, about 3 months pregnant. And she was in the shower, she had cramps in her stomach. And then the amniotic sac came out. And I remember how much this affected me at the time. Now, listen, I know people who have had miscarriages. I know people very, very close to me who have had stillborns in my family. But this one specifically, I had to go to the shower and scoop up in my hands what was effectively my baby. And Kelly was distraught, and she was crying, and I had to take the baby, and I didn't know what to do, because who tells you what to do with that? You've got a baby in your hands. And this is before we had Lily. I had a baby in my hands, and I went downstairs, and I didn't know, I had to take it out of her sight. And I still to this day have guilt over it. This baby would have been 3 months, it was an amniotic sac, it was dead. But I only had it in to put the baby in. Because what you do, I was young and I didn't know what to do. And I stood out and was outside, and I must have cried more water than I thought I had. You know, more fluid than I thought I had in my body. And I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And that stayed with us. We had to go to the hospital after that. She went into depression. I was depressed. And it really, really struck with us. And then we didn't know what to do. We ended up, a few years passed. I delved deep into a relationship with God. Kelly gets saved. And she gets pregnant again. And we think, yes, this is it. Because we had 2 kids, we wanted another, and we were desperate for another. And I remember we were living in Kings Road, and she was about 14, 15 weeks, so 4 months. And I remember the same thing happening again. And it was initially the first thing that happens, and the way the devil will try and do it is if he thinks something works against you, he will use the same circumstance to produce the same emotion. And if you're not in control of the emotion, it will continue to produce the same way of looking at things, the same thought life. And you could go into yourself saying, I'm not supposed to have another baby. And I remember at this time something specifically different. When we lost this one, I didn't have to take any like sack or anything like that. We went to the hospital and they gave her drugs for the baby to pass, the face to pass. And let's say, you're talking over 4 months, 15 weeks or something, 14 or 15 weeks. So it was already developed. And I remember there was something so different in my approach in that time. I had my best time in Bible study at that same time. I remember Kelly was staying in bed, she just had the delivery, and she stayed in bed. And I got up and I got my Bible. I just felt provoked. You have to read, you have to read. And I saw the sun coming through the windows, and I just felt joy. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not joyous because of the circumstance. I was joyous because during that time I said, I'm going to spend time with God. In His presence is the fullness of joy, Psalm 16:11. And I spent time with God. And I mean it, I was like, I can still recall that. Not the event, and I believe one day I will see my babies in heaven. I do, I 100% do. I still believe they'll be there. And God's got them now. But sitting in that presence, getting to know God so intimately, I came away and people were coming, church friends were coming to the door, leaving food, seeing how we are and stuff. I just wanted to actually spend time with Him. I just wanted to explain the joy of the Lord, being in His presence. How the difference was between when one baby died, it wasn't a different circumstance, it was a different filling up of the emotion. I can choose to fill up and focus on the emotion of the catastrophe and the problem and the thing that's presented itself, and I can let that ruin me, or I can fill up on joy, what is found in His presence. I can't even explain to you how deep that joy was, how amazing it was, how it lifted me. And and from there was such a confidence too. And we knew from that point we were going to have another baby. We just knew it. In fairness, we only ever intended to have 3. And then the last 2 were kind of a big surprise and a shock to me, because I thought I was going to get a bit of a life back and get out and stuff. But anyway, I'm trying to say to you, you have power over your emotions. You really do. And if you can take power over your emotions, oh my Lord, you will have an amazing life, because it doesn't matter what the enemy throws. It doesn't matter what he does. It doesn't matter how he tries to destruct your life. It doesn't matter how he tries to come and steal and kill and destroy. It won't work, because you're not defined by your circumstance. You're not controlled by your emotions. Instead, your spirit, this word, takes power over all of your emotions. So whenever Robin was speaking last week, and he was speaking about speaking out and about your words, it is so true, because if you can turn around and you can say, oh, my Lord is my source. My Lord is my supply. My Lord is my Jehovah Jireh. If you can take hold of the word and say this over any emotion. Now, this is what I'm saying about the Bruce Lee thing. It is not just a case of speaking it out. You got to feel it. If you speak it out, whenever you come up against affliction and you go, and I have this, right? And I have a real dispute with this. Kelly will do this to me. When my lips are turning blue and I can't breathe, and she'll go, I go, having an attack. No, you aren't. Oh no, I am. Don't say it. It's all I can't say. I'm telling you, get me oxygen. No, don't say it. And she's telling me not to speak it out. There's a difference between acknowledging that you're controlled by that sickness and speaking it out. Do you know what I mean? I can say, if I break my arm, I don't go, my arm's not broken, I'm healing in Jesus' name. No, I still have a broken arm. I go, in Jesus' name, my arm is now healed. And I pray over it. I don't define it just by ignoring it. And the same with your emotions. Don't suppress your emotions. Instead, impress on your emotions. If I suppress my emotions, they come out in any way, shape, or form, whether it's punching a hole in the wall. But if I impress upon my emotions, if I take the Word of God and I impress down upon my emotions and say, "What? You're saying I've got nothing in the bank? Oh, my God supplies all my needs according to His riches and glory in Christ Jesus." Amen? And I say that. Now, if I don't feel it, that's where I've got to work on it. And I've done this, and I've told you about this before. Sometimes you just need to start writing down your testimony. Sometimes you need to get pen and paper and go, "God, I can't believe you've done that for me. God, I can't believe how this is me, how you healed my Charlie from a burnt off face, how you restored him without plastic surgery. I can't believe how you have healed a broken back in me, how you have sewn together my kneecap. I can't believe how you restored my marriage." Do you know what it is? I cannot not believe God. I cannot, because He has done so much for me. He has done so much for me. Oh my God. He has changed my life. He has brought me from the pit of despair. He has lifted me up. And when He has done it, that's the emotions I need to focus on. So whenever I start to feel like, "Oh, nobody understands me. Nobody really gets me." You know, and you can't get like this. Anybody ever felt sorry for themselves? And I'm finishing in about 3 minutes. Anybody ever felt sorry for themselves? Be honest. You're not perfect. Well, if you are, you should be up here. I felt sorry for myself. I would go through those sort of things, and you can get trapped in that. And that's the problem when it comes to mental health, is that we can get trapped in certain thought cycles that don't let us out. And the problem is that if you don't take control over it and realize that you're not filling up with the right emotional content, you will always stay in that same realm of thinking. You see, I could turn around and I could go, "I know I was close 2 weeks ago. I knew that one of those attacks," I didn't tell Kelly at the time, because I would be getting lectures. And I'm only telling you now properly because she's out of the room. And she was out of the room earlier when I said it. I knew I was close. I knew times before I've been close, and I kind of leave it a bit too long. But I could get into that thought life of going, "Oh my goodness, God, why hasn't this been healed? Why hasn't this been restored yet?" Or I could go, "Oh my goodness, God, I can't believe what you've restored in my life. I can't believe that you brought me the perfect wife for me. I can't believe that you restored my marriage when all was lost. I can't believe that you've healed my children, that you have healed me." And when I start filling up with that, this doesn't seem a problem anymore. I know that this is coming. But the problem is your walk with Him can be hindered by your being a slave to your own emotions. You're not called to be a slave to your own emotions. You're called to be a king or queen and a high priest, more than a conqueror. Amen?